Good day everyone, and thanks again for inviting IUCN to be part of the World Water Summit 2022. In behalf of my colleagues from headquarters, here at the regional office in Asia and our country office in India, I'm pleased to share with you today some of the work that we're doing in relation to water issues and nature-based solutions. Let me start with a brief introduction on IUCN. We are a membership-based union and now the world's largest, oldest, and most diverse environment organization. IUCN constitutes three main pillars. Our members is over 1,300, including state governments, India proudly being one of them, and several international and national organizations. And most recently, we have additional membership categories covering subnational governments, cities, states, but also indigenous peoples organizations. Our second pillar represents our commissions, where we have over 15,000 of leading experts in various areas on nature conservation and the environment. And we represent the Secretariat based at the headquarters in Switzerland and various regional and country offices around the world. A key institutional mandate of IUCN is to serve as a technical advisor, secretariat, and partner to international conventions and agreements on the environment. This includes the World Heritage Convention, Ramsar, which is relevant for today's discussion, all the way to CITES and many others. We are the global authority on the status of the natural world and the means to safeguard it. Many people associate IUCN with some of our key products and standards, primarily the Red List for species, and more recently, the Green List for protected and conserved areas. Here in the region, we cover Asia and Oceania, which consists of 48 statutory countries under IUCN. We divide our work according to 4 sub-regions, from Oceania to Southeast Asia, Northeast Asia, and South Asia. Going back to the water discourse, the key context the IUCN uses in its own programmatic work recognizes, for instance, that 84% of decline in freshwater biodiversity has occurred since the 70s. Water, even in the private sector, is a very important concern because it's a top risk for business and economic development. I originally come from an agriculture background where we see that it accounts for 70% of global water withdrawal. Today, we are facing the challenge that in the next decade there will be 50% increase in global water demand. Overall, the importance of freshwater ecosystems in relation to biodiversity cannot be underestimated. It's the ultimate biodiversity hotspots. And as figures show, wetlands, for example, are disappearing 3 times faster than even the forests. Water is an important aspect of IUCN's overall program from 2021 to 2024. It is divided into 3 thematic areas around water governance, freshwater species, and equitable access to water resources. Some of the work that we do includes connecting with stakeholders at all scales and from multiple sectors, driving innovative science while tackling the science policy divide, building transferable knowledge through leadership and demonstration, as well as supporting broad policy and practice management. Ecosystems are water infrastructure, and that's probably part of what I would like to emphasize today. Water for nature is too often sidelined in discussions around built water infrastructure, development, and subsequent water allocation. With increased demand for food and energy production from a growing global population, many countries look to engineered solutions in bringing them water, food, and energy security. When we introduce demands on a natural system, river flow is treated like a tangible commodity that is bought, sold, and allocated to users. And the result is often that over-allocation, exploitation, and conflict between users happen, So where does nature feature in these discussions, and what happens to its needs when water is allocated to the variety of competing demands? Ecosystems, through water-related ecosystem services, perform an infrastructure-like function. Natural infrastructure includes upland forests, lakes, wetlands, and they provide water storage. Wetland filter water. Rivers provide conveyance and transportation. Floodplains and wetlands lower flood peaks in downstream cities, while mangroves, coral reefs, and barrier islands protect coasts against storms and inundation. To translate the understanding of ecosystem services into action, IUCN has pioneered the framing and development of the nature-based solution (NBS) concept. With the first official definition validated at the World Conservation Congress in 2016, this was followed by the official UN definition, largely inspired by IUCN's own definition of NBS. Nature-based solutions are important because they are key to a nature-positive future. What I would like to emphasize, though, is we need to move beyond the rhetoric around NBS. The confusion, for example, of what is simply nature-inspired or nature-derived from what is truly nature-based. It is important for us to keep in mind that NBS, as per the IUCN definition, refers to actions to protect, sustainably manage, and restore natural or modified ecosystems, and that this addresses societal challenges, including climate change, water security, or natural disasters, effectively and adaptively, and more importantly, that it simultaneously provides human well-being and biodiversity benefits. IUCN's role in the global NBS practice has been related to 4 key areas of work. One is around setting the standard, which many of you are aware. There now is the IUCN NBS Global Standard, which we are then promoting through various capacity building schemes for countries, projects, organizations, even individuals, through our IUCN Academy. More importantly, we are also working on 2 additional schemes to support the global standard around certification and quality assurance. So why NBS for water? Now, let's remember that floodplains, for example, are estimated to provide nearly 1/4 of the terrestrial, the non-marine ecosystem services. More importantly, we talk about natural infrastructure, as I mentioned earlier. The cost-effective tools to address from climate change are expected to come from nature-based solutions at around 30%. It even extends up to the tourism sector, where we know that wetlands are a very important tourism destination. And then coming back to disaster risk reduction, we think of mangroves, how they reduce wave height by as much as 66%, providing buffer against impacts of storms, tsunamis, and hurricanes. When we consider NBS for water, we emphasize basin-level approaches. NBS for water takes approaches that emphasize scale. For example, we look at basin, source to sea, the strategy for working with several technical approaches with different sectors. Example, forest land restoration and headwaters to ensure water provision, reconnecting rivers to floodplain and wetlands to ensure water management and fisheries production, supporting ecosystem creation and maintenance in urban centers to manage flood water, and working closely with the agriculture sector to limit erosion and integrate ecosystems within productive landscapes. Looking back, we also see the evolution in global water policy discourse as far back as 1977 at the UN Water Conference. Over decades and many years, we now see that NBS implementation at scale, policies, ecosystem services have increasingly been acknowledged in water policy and discourse. How does IUCN support the transformation of water policies? And how do we ensure that these are downscaled from global to regional to national and local? IUCN has been working closely with governments and policymakers in a large number of countries to document opportunities and gaps to mainstream ecosystem services and NBS within these water policies. For example, we look at national and sectoral policies and transboundary agreements and cooperation frameworks. Good examples in Asia would be in the Mekong, where we did a review of the Mekong River Agreement, a review of national wetlands policies, and more recently in the Ganges. We also provided support to governments in including water-related NBS within their NDCs. And these reviews provide the basis for transboundary dialogues, exploring opportunities to reinforce the space for NBS with the national and transboundary frameworks. Now, all of these aspirations, all of these targets can only happen with resources. IUCN recognizes its important role in helping mobilize international finance and, more importantly, enhancing access to countries and stakeholders which need these resources the most. As an agency of GCF and GEF, IUCN works with countries and other stakeholders in ensuring that available international financing is targeted at the most critical needs in relation to water. Funding is still a key limitation in upscaling NBS. Fortunately, we at IUCN have already started with several projects in mobilizing large-scale financing. Two examples of this would be our recently launched project in Nepal and also a recently approved project in Sri Lanka, both under GCF. IUCN is only one of the many key players globally in relation to supporting sustainable management, use, as well as conservation of water resources. And so we have been active in leading country level or regional level projects across sectors and water themes, including water governance, water and nature-based solutions in various sectors. This cover as far as fisheries, for example, taking into account climate change and the need for mitigation as well as adaptation. We're engaged in a number of platforms, as you can see in this diagram, showing that for IUCN, water partnership is key not only to our own program, but in terms of our own contribution to our shared global agenda. As an organization that builds its program on science and evidence, we actively pursue the development and sharing of a wide range of water knowledge, product, and resources. These are available in various formats and types and platforms, some examples as you can see on screen. For us, the knowledge that we generate can only be truly useful if these are mainstream and they are used in policy and practice around the world. In summary, the 3 points I'd like to highlight today is that increasing water-related societal challenges can never be solved only when we think of gray infrastructure and technologies. It's time to think about green infrastructure, and within that, it's time to think of water and water ecosystems. And these ecosystem services underpin water management and security. So it is important that we invest in natural systems because they are essential for sustainable river basin management, for example. And going back to nature-based solutions, it's important also for us to remember that NBS can successfully and significantly help tackle water-related challenges. So we call on you in this forum and beyond that we need to recognize the value of NBS, and also at the same time that its true outcomes be quantified, invested in, and managed at a scale, and it's integrated within national and international policies. Thank you again for this opportunity, and we do look forward to hearing from you in terms of your own experiences and reflections, and for any other information that you might want to seek from us. It's available. Do visit our website, www.iucn.org, or you can also email me. And I do hope to see some of you in India, your regional office in Thailand, and in any other parts of the world represented by today's participants. Have a good day.